Hey guys, welcome to Titans of Tabletop. Today we'll be doing the DM's quest log, and we're starting with episode 1, The Bitter Azola. Hi guys, welcome to Titans of Tabletop. I'm DM Dan with
Kevin.
And today we're doing the episode 1 of the quest log, DM's quest log. And today is the Bitter Azola. Now, typically in D&D, a lot of times you start getting very combat heavy quests. This is not a very combat heavy quest. As you remember, you were a player.
Yeah, it wasn't too much combat in the beginning. No,
there was no combat at all until the end.
Right.
What had happened was they went into a tavern, and usually I have my players, I said, hey, you know, to get quests and stuff, a good way maybe to go to the taverns and ask if there's any rumors. Alright, so they go to the tavern, and they asked about rumors around town, things that they could, you know, help with. And there was apparently a lot of deaths. Prostitutes were dying, and the victims were found with a flower in their mouth. Now I got this idea from a site online. It says 101. I forget the name right off the bat, but I'll put a link in the comments below. About it's 101 quest ideas, and it said a flower found in the victim's mouth. So this is my spin on that, and how I incorporated it in my game. So basically I named the flower the Bitter Azola because I thought it would be kind of ironic that it's in their mouth and its name is bitter, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that, you know, the tavern guy tells them that, and so then I had them roll investigation, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was an investigation.
To see what in their minds would be the best way of going about finding, you know, this killer. And they rolled fairly well, so I told them that, you know, they could probably go to the morgue where the bodies are. Or they could, what was the other one? They could, or go to the actual prostitutes to ask them questions.
And also, you told us,
and the constable.
Yeah.
Could go to the constable. So they started with the constable. They went to the constable. He arrested, no one, so he only found the dead bodies, and he said that, you know, we send them to the morgue. We didn't. They looked like they were, I think, what was it, stabbed or clawed?
Choked.
Choked. And,
there was
so that's all he...
Like
well, no, he didn't know that. He just knew that they were choked. So they went to the morgue, okay, and then you go to the morgue, and basically the person in the morgue will let them, you know, examine that. You know, they did a medicine check on the body. And they discovered that there had been some claw marks, and as well as the life looked like it was literally drained from these prostitutes. So they were confused, and they didn't know how to go about it. So what they did was, well, let's find out more about this flower. Maybe there was a trail on the flower, is what you guys decided at that point. So they went to the florist, and when they went to the florist, that was pretty fun. Well, the morgue guy, I forget his name, but he had a part to play that they later learned. But when they went to the florist, I had a senile old lady in a rocking chair making baskets with the exact flowers that were found in these victims' mouths. And remember, you guys thought she was lying for a while, and they rolled, you know, medicines and investigations and all kinds of insight and all this sort of stuff to see if she was lying, and it turns out she was senile, and she was telling them that she's making these baskets for her granddaughter to pass out on the streets, like a flower girl, right? And it was right around this point where, your players can always surprise you. Well, this is before you. It was actually at the morgue. Your players can surprise you as a DM in certain ways where you want it to go one way, and they say something and it just makes it a lot different. So what my player said was, it was Eamon, and he said, guys, I have an enormous secret. I had actually slept with all the prostitutes that were killed. And the players were, and me, because I was DMing the game, were like blown away. We were like, what? So I incorporated it into the story, which, sometimes you gotta think on the fly, and it was kind of on the fly.
It was very smooth.
But I allowed that, and they rolled insights to see if his character had actually killed these prostitutes. So that was interesting. This was quest 1, by the way, for them. This was their first quest. And the episodes will go as
different quests.
Same quest that they're doing right now. So basically, so that was funny. We got Eamon had slept with the prostitutes that were murdered, or his character rather, not himself, but and so we're investigating, and back to the florist. They were at the florist. She was said the granddaughter was passing them out as a flower girl, remember? And so then they still were shady after knowing she was senile. For some reason, you still thought something was going on with this old lady. So there was more to it. Yeah. So they one of them distracted the old lady with a performance, while the others snuck into this old woman's bedroom.
And we found the necklace.
Yeah, they investigated the room and they found a necklace of a girl in the locket, but it was very old. A very old necklace.
I remember the old lady thought Eamon was her long lost.
Oh, yeah. That's right. When he asked the question first to the old lady, and interrogating, and to prove that she was senile, I made it seem like the old lady thought that Eamon's character was her long lost husband that she's been waiting to come back from the war 20 years ago, But in the bedroom, they found the locket with the old, and I said it was very old. It didn't look like it was a newer picture. So then they all left, and Kevin said, you know what? I'm going to search for any newspaper articles. And as a DM, I was like, newspaper articles? I was like, all right. And he rolls a natural 20. So, of course, anybody who knows D&D, if you roll a natural 20, it happens. So, he found a newspaper article with a clipping of a little girl, flower girl, that was found strangled in the streets a long time ago, 20 years ago, right around when her husband
disappeared.
Stopped. So they were confused about that, and they were like, we need to find this granddaughter if she's really making these baskets for this granddaughter. So they decided to go, while they're, looking around the streets, make their way to the prostitutes, the whorehouse, if you would. And they, went into the whorehouse, started asking questions, and I think a couple of you ended up sleeping with them.
Yeah, a couple of us did.
Which, whenever your players sleep with a prostitute, make them roll a DC check, okay? Make it a number of how grimy is this place, kind of rate on the DC number.
Grimy.
And then if they fail, give them Banshee cramps. And Banshee cramps in our game, it lowers your charisma score by 2 until it's cured.
Right, yeah.
So...
now,
I think that was pretty funny. But they didn't get Banshee cramps at that point. But that's neither here nor there. But they but Eamon was one of the people that, you know, had slept with a prostitute again.
Right.
And the players said, well, hey, you know, you just slept with a prostitute, and all the ones you slept with were killed, so let's follow this prostitute. So through much dice rolling of how long it would take and all that, they finally, she comes out of work, and I think it was like 7 in the evening at that point.
Too late.
It wasn't too late.
It was like just as it got dark.
Yeah, she's walking home, and I said, sure enough, I explained to them that there is this little girl with the basket going up to that prostitute.
Which blew our minds, actually.
Huh?
It blew my mind that we actually saw the little girl. It wasn't something else. We were like...
Right. Well,
what is
so
this?
they're like, you know, and they see the little girl lure her into an alleyway, and then they hear her scream. So they're like, we bolt, run after, you know, and they turn the corner, and it's a succubus that's strangling and killing, you know, with that sucking kiss, draining the life out. And some of them were like, well, why is it a succubus and not an incubus? Because succubus go after guys, and incubuses go after girls. And the reason for this is because Eamon said that he slept with the ones that were killed. I mean, I was like, well, I have to make it a succubus that's like jealous that he's sleeping with all these women and she can't have him, kind of thing. So after they started fighting her a little bit, he actually started trying to cut a deal.
Yeah, which was weird.
For something. I forget what he was going for. But he was trying to cut a deal with it to do something. She was like, fine, I'll take you back to to get to her place.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll take you back to my place if you help me kill these other guys.
And he said
no. He said no. So they killed her. And I made the succubus kind of just melt into an acid pool.
Yeah. It was a very weak succubus.
So, well, no, it was succubus from the Monster Manual. So we can actually go to the Monster Manual. And that's a case where you don't have to go very combat heavy. And they'll have, your players will have to think a little bit. And it's always good to think. Let me see.
Yeah.
It's always good to have thinking stuff.
I like the quest when we have to investigate stuff and there's not much combat. Because sometimes when you overdo it with combat, it's just kind of like, you know what I mean? You're in the same spot for so long.
So for the people that are wondering, I guess I'll tell you what a succubus does and what it has. So it's not bad armor class. It's 15. And it had 66 health, which you guys didn't have too much of a problem with that.
No.
Even at level 1, they kind of they teamed up on her. I tried to charm a couple times. They have a charm as an action, and they passed. They passed every time. So I didn't. No, at the end I charmed. It got a little heavy because I did charm 2 of them. It was the NPC they had with them. And a player, I think it was Anthony.
I think it was Anthony.
From our first episode of Dwarves, Anthony. He couldn't make it today, by the way, but he will be in other videos. He is sorely missed, Anthony. Hi. So yeah, they got some cool stuff. They got shape change. They're resistant to cold, fire, lightning, and poison. Bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons.
Which actually...
So that affected... I play as a little character, too. I try not to do too much, because I'm obviously the DM. But I shot some firebolts at it, and it didn't do too much. And that's about all I had at level 1.
Yeah.
So...
Level 1...
Well, I mean, I had more, but...
Level 1, we really didn't, have to worry about that because a lot of our stuff was just slashing and shooting arrows and stuff. So
but this is the incubus.
Normal attacks.
The incubus and the succubus both have the
same
setting here, so that goes both ways. If you guys want to see actually a video on monsters, a deeper in look and the stats there, leave a comment below. Let me know, and we'll do videos on the monsters. Earlier than planned. But yeah. So that's the quest. That is the bitter Azola. The flower in the dead victim's mouth.
It was a good quest. It was interesting.
It was an interesting quest. They were kind of shocked by the succubus.
We had
so.
fun. Some of us role played more than others, but it was fun.
Yeah. But it's all fun and games, no matter if you're a heavy RPer or not. I mean, some people just aren't
and as a
heavy
player,
RPers. But anyway, guys, until the episode 2 of the quest log and further other videos in the other playlists, I am DM Dan.
I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and help the channel grow if you like these. Comment below. See you.
Have a good one.